monarchist tourists, loyal subjects, and simply the idly curious all gathered beneath the pale London sky, their faces upturned toward the Union Jack fluttering above the palace in a wind that seemed to carry both history and foreboding. It wasn't a death, at least not yet, but a different form of mourning had begun, palpable and silent, weaving its way through the capital like a chill draft under an old oak door. In quiet cafes and time-worn pubs, in overheard snatches of conversation on double-decker buses and in supermarket queues, one anxious refrain kept surfacing. And now, what happens? The city's usual noise, its perpetual rush, had been replaced by a kind of suspended animation. Television channels broke from their relentless schedules, radios crackled with speculation and the voices of commentators who, for all their experience, sounded uncharacteristically uncertain. Some journalists appeared on screen with red-rimmed eyes, their attempts at impartial analysis faltering under the weight of the unsaid. Rumors, always the true currency of royal London, spread faster than the breeze. Whispers of cancer, degenerative disease, a secret illness that the palace had, perhaps, kept hidden for months behind a facade of scheduled smiles and carefully managed photo ops. But for all the frantic guessing, one truth was undeniable. King Charles III, after so many decades in the wings waiting, observing, enduring, had barely settled the crown upon his head before being confronted with a future no one, not even his most seasoned advisors, could predict. The monarchy's new chapter was opening not with the confident rustle of velvet, but with the uncertain flutter of hospital curtains. And yet, as is often the case with the Windsors, reality and ritual danced together. King Charles, acutely aware of the headlines swirling around his health, countered the whispers with a carefully orchestrated sequence of appearances, smiling, composed, almost defiant. Royal journalist Camilla Tominey's assertion that the king would die with cancer, but not of cancer, echoed in the background as Charles pressed on, determined to project an image of continuity and resilience. The ancient machinery of the court whirred into action, its purpose clear: to convince the nation, and perhaps the king himself, that the sovereign's hand was still firm on the tiller. But the palace walls could not hold back the tide of change. This year, the king's birthday, traditionally a moment of unbroken celebration, was shadowed by a new kind of obstacle. The anti-monarchy campaigners of Republic announced, with mounting confidence, their intent to stage yet another protest at Trooping the Colour. This was no longer an isolated act of defiance, but the second consecutive year the group would publicly challenge not just the king, but the very foundations of royal authority. Their banners and chants were pointed: Prince William, Prince Edward, Princess, and all in full regalia, adorned with medals, were accused of clinging to outdated privilege. The imagery of monarchy, so carefully burnished by ceremony and spectacle, was now matched by images of dissent, broadcast across social media in real time. The monarchy, it seemed, was under siege both from within and without. Yet the wounds closest to the king were not inflicted by protesters, but by the family itself. Only a day earlier, the press confirmed that King Charles III had declined to invite Prince Harry and Meghan Markle to join the family for Trooping the Colour, a decision with the force of a closed door. The Sussexes' absence hung over the celebrations, a reminder of the rifts that had come to define the modern royal narrative. As the formalities unfolded, television cameras lingered on the carriages, the horses, the meticulously choreographed procession. And yet, it was an unguarded moment between Charles and Camilla that captured the nation's imagination. In their carriage, lips moving quickly, the king and queen seemed absorbed in a conversation that lip readers rushed to interpret. Jeremy Freeman, a recognized specialist, decoded the exchange. Camilla, seeking clarity, asked, "Yes, what else did he want?" Charles, his patience thinning, replied, "He keeps dragging it all up. There seems to be another issue right now." For anyone following royal intrigue, the subtext was unmistakable. Harry, once the beloved spare, now the family's harshest chronicler, had again become the problem no one could solve. Camilla's next question, as reported by Nicola, was direct: "What are you going to do about it?" Charles's reply, at once resigned and weary, was, "We will tackle it sooner or later. It's all very messy and I will talk to Harry. That'll be fun." Camilla, ever the realist, shot back, "Oh yes, problematic." In those few words, the entire burden of monarchy was laid bare: the unresolved disputes, the constant calculations, the struggle to keep family and institution from tearing each other apart. All the while, outside the windows, the parade marched on, soldiers in perfect step, crowds waving their flags as if nothing at all was amiss. Among the senior royals, Prince William's role was impossible to ignore. Mounted on horseback alongside Princess Anne and Prince Edward, he followed his father's carriage in the age-old tradition, his every movement analyzed for signs of readiness. Already, many whispered that William was being prepared subtly, but unmistakably, for the moment he would inherit the mantle of monarch. The weight of expectation pressed in from every side, and yet he bore it with a practiced, almost stoic calm. King Charles's own presence at the parade had changed. Once an eager rider, he now sat in a carriage, protected by necessity. The ongoing battle with cancer, a fight that had reshaped his daily life and prompted endless tabloid speculation, meant that every engagement now carried hidden risks. "The thing you learn about this illness," confided one courtier, "is that you don't conquer it, you manage it." And that's what he does now. He manages, he perseveres. Medical science has made incredible advances. As long as you do what the doctors say, just live your life as normal as possible. But even the most carefully crafted appearance could not fully dispel the anxiety humming beneath the surface. Freeman's reading included the king's cryptic words, "On my way out," followed by, "Meanwhile, not like me. That's the difference between me and him." The meaning was ambiguous, yet the tone, resigned, almost philosophical, spoke to an awareness that change was not just inevitable but imminent. This undercurrent of uncertainty was compounded by new controversies, a deepening standoff with Prince Andrew over Royal Lodge, rumors of financial investigations, and questions about the monarchy's future in an increasingly skeptical Britain. At every turn, tradition collided with modernity, and the outcome was anything but clear. Prince Harry's recent media appearance, his eyes downcast, his words tinged with regret, offered a rare glimpse of vulnerability. Royal photographer Arthur Edwards noted, "You could see it in him." Harry looked sad, as though he was having second thoughts. All he wanted, really, was to reconcile with his father. If he'd just said sorry in that interview, "Sorry, Pop, I want to see you," maybe that would have made a difference. But the distance between them, both emotional and physical, had become almost insurmountable. In the background, the palace confirmed that the king had ordered amendments to the Trooping the Colour program, paying quiet respect to the families affected by recent tragedies. It was a small but meaningful gesture, a reminder that, even now, the monarchy's humanity could still break through the veneer of ritual. As the flag continued to ripple above Buckingham Palace, its colours sometimes bright, sometimes faded in the changing light, a sense of waiting settled over the country. Some looked on with hope, others with skepticism, all aware that they stood on the edge of an era. In the cafes and pubs, in anxious glances and whispered speculation, the question persisted, what happens next? And the truth is, no one, not even those within the palace walls, can say for certain. The monarchy endures, as it always has, but the foundation beneath it has shifted. Rituals continue, faces change, and behind the gilded facades, real people grapple with pain, regret, and the impossibility of turning back the clock. In this, as in so much else, the House of Windsor remains both a mirror and a mystery, its fate woven into the larger tapestry of a nation searching for answers, bracing for change.